Welcome everyone, this is Master's Joke, also Master's Joke 75 on Instagram. So I've been looking forward to watching Doctor Who and the Daleks in colour, literally all day yesterday. I was really excited for it, even though I've sort of done the Daleks to death this week, because I watched the original in black and white on BBC iPlayer. I love the story, but it was also so I could kind of do a fair comparison to the new edited colour version. And I know this story so well. I mean, I've said this many times before on my YouTube channel, but the first time I became aware of the story was when I when I watched the Dalek movie with Roy Castle and Peter Cushing. I think it was on BBC4 back in the 80s. And I assumed it was in black and white, so I watched it in black and white on the portable in the dining room, not knowing that it was in full Technicolor. But yeah, so that's the first time I watched the episode, and then after that, I remember buying the Target novel from W.H. Smith's in the Angel down in Edmonton. And I remember I think it was the cover that blew me away, because I'd also seen, I think the following week, the movie Dalek Invasion Earth. So I think I was in a kind of a Dalek kind of mood. And I did watch, I remember, I think it was my older brother who told me it was in colour. So I remember watching Dalek Invasion Earth in colour. And I think that was the following week. It's probably like a Friday on BBC2. But yeah, I bought both the Target novels from W.H. Smith's, but the episode, the actual original episodes, first time I watched them was in the early 90s when I bought the double video, which I remember it was quite expensive. So I found this lovely little shop in Covent Garden back in the early 90s when I used to go up London every weekend with my cousin to do the rounds, go to like HMV Megastore, which is reopened today. The flagship store has reopened from today, which is great news. Virgin Megastore, Tower Records, and then, Sister Ray Records, Selector Disc. I used to go to them all. So I used to go up London, every Saturday. And I found this shop. I can't remember what the shop was called in Covent Garden. We nicknamed it the Sale Shop, but it sold tapes, CDs. I don't think it sold records, but videos, just dirt cheap. And I remember picking up the Daleks, part one of the VHS. I think it was like $5.99. And then probably a couple of weeks later, when we went up there again, I bought part two. And they weren't supposed to sell it individually, but that's how I got it. And I think I got it for a good price. And this was like probably the mid 90s. But so watching the colorized version, I knew what I was. Obviously, I knew the story because I watched it over the previous two nights. But I know a lot of people aren't going to agree with me, but it blew me away. I thought it was wonderful. I thought it was so wonderfully done with care and attention and love. It was very fast paced, and I understand why. I mean, that's what it's all about. You've got it's not really aimed at me. It's aimed at a new generation of Doctor Who fans, and who've never seen it before, because black and white is not their. It's not their cup of tea, which I quite understand. The colorization was I was really impressed, really impressed by it. The TARDIS, the interior, even though it had the blue floor, because those images that the BBC released last week, they were stills which had been coloured. You didn't really see much of the TARDIS floor, and I thought the TARDIS looked gorgeous. The actual the walls, the roundels, the console, it looked amazing. The other thing I noticed about the colorized version, because I wasn't sure at first when I heard the news that they were doing it, was that I noticed more. I mean, I'd only seen the episode like the night before, but you noticed more of what was going on in the scene, which stuff that I'd not seen before. But yeah, I absolutely loved it. One of the things, or one of the first things I noticed was you didn't Ian and Barbara, they didn't have their their futuristic space full English breakfast. That was cut out, which I thought was a shame, because there's always time for a full English breakfast. It was only bacon and eggs, so it doesn't really count as a full English. But I was sad to see that, but it wasn't really relevant to the flow of the story. Hearing the cloister bell, I didn't think the cloister bell when it was first when it first came up in Logopolis, it was impending doom. I didn't feel that the TARDIS landed on Skaro, or the issues with the fluid link warranted the cloister bell. But it's something new, and it's also something that the newer fans would find familiar. The creaky door. I'd forgotten just how much I hate, and this is just my preference, but I absolutely hate the creaky door on the TARDIS of the modern era. I just absolutely hate it. I love everything else, but that creaky door just does my nut. And if I ran Doctor Who, I'd get rid of the creaky door, or just add something in about the Doctor using some oil on the hinges, just like you had Matt Smith changing the light bulb on top of the TARDIS. So they added that in, and again, I understand why it's familiarity with the newer watchers. But yeah, I mean, that was my honestly, that was my main criticism of the actual story, the squeaky door and the cloister bell. Yeah, I thought the story flowed well. I loved the music. I mean, Mark Ayres, he done a beautiful job on the music. I thought it was brilliant. It was so of the time, so mysterious and so clear. I loved the music. I loved the sound. I thought everything really worked well. There was things that I noticed that a lot of people, a lot of new viewers wouldn't notice. But there was cuts where, for example, you never saw the when the TARDIS crew were imprisoned by the Daleks, and they were thinking of their plan to escape. You never saw them remove the camera, which they then used to kind of block the door, so the door wouldn't close when the Dalek was leaving after he'd given them their breakfast. But I'm not sure. New viewers would have noticed that. But yeah, there was certain things like you'd watch it and then you'd notice that like William Hartnell's in a different room or a different scene, and you'd think, well, how did that happen? A lot of scenes with the files were cut out when you first kind of meet them, but again, it didn't really, it wasn't relevant to the story. So I understand why they did it. It was a different way of viewing the story. The music, the fast pace, and the edits, especially in the scene with the with them escaping and the lift and Ian in the Dalek. I thought it worked really well. It really got you into the story. And I understand why they did this, because the new generation, they're always on their phones. So the moment there's a break in the story where the pace slows, the newer generation, they've got the phone out and they're checking TikTok. But no, I really enjoyed it. I liked the new special effects. I liked the way that you saw the TARDIS materialise at the beginning of the story and then dematerialise. Obviously CGI, but in the original, you don't see the TARDIS materialise because it all happens within the console room. And then I believe the final scene when the TARDIS, when it dematerialises at the end of the story, all you see is like the side bit of the of the TARDIS, like the bottom half of the TARDIS. So I thought that was a nice touch. I like the new death ray effects. I thought they worked really well. The red sky of Skaro and the city. I thought it looked well. It is what it is. I thought it looked beautiful to start off with. It was just nice to see it differently. In relation to the flow of the story, one thing that I did miss with the story was the original is more of an adventure, and you're on an adventure with the TARDIS team. It felt too quick that they landed and then they're in the Dalek city. To me, too much was edited from episode 1. It didn't feel like an adventure. It was Ian and Barbara's first time on a different planet, and it didn't feel like that. It was too quick. Whereas in the original, they explore the petrified forest. So, yeah, it felt too rushed. But again, I understand why that was. In relation to flashbacks, I felt there were too many flashbacks when characters were talking. You'd hear and see flashbacks to what had happened previously. But again, I understand that because it kind of linked the story together. And the music by Mark Ayres was fantastic. I was so glad that they kept the original Dalek voices, because I love those monotone original Dalek voices. You could tell Nicholas Briggs' Dalek voice straight away because he did the newer version, which was a shame, because I know Nicholas Briggs, he could have done the more monotone one, but, I suppose it was a different voice. But, yeah, the Dalek voices were done well, because I know they came back to redo the voices because the end of the story is slightly different than the original. But, yeah, I'm really happy with it. I think the Files being their first outing, it's a shame that a lot of their dialogue was kind of cut out, and their relationships with each other, not just with the TARDIS crew, it wasn't fully explored in this new episode, especially with the two brothers in the caves, where at the end when Ian's tied to one of the I think it was the younger brother, and in the end he cuts the rope. That was a longer scene, and I think a lot of emotion was missed from there. But yeah, really enjoyed it. It is what it is. It was great to see William Hartnell, William Russell, Jacqueline Hill, Carol Ann Ford in colour, and even Barbara's pink top, although it wasn't pink in the original, because I've seen some original photos from the filming. It was okay, and one of the things that I didn't notice, because I'd watched it a couple of nights before, I never noticed that in the last few episodes when they meet the Files, that Barbara, when they go in the caves, she's wearing Files trousers, and I'd never noticed that, because you can see I think they're holes that go down the side, but I'd never noticed that before. So there was a lot of things that I noticed that I hadn't noticed in the black and white version. I think the colorization was good, and they did their best to kind of color in where the actual footage wasn't great. I mean, especially the first opening scene where it's colorized. You don't notice it as much in the black and white version, but it's quite distorted, and I don't know if that is from the original filming or that's deterioration over the years. Would I buy the actual Blu-ray? So I initially I thought to myself that I would buy the Blu-ray because I love this story, and it's out for pre-order at the moment. Now after watching the episode, I really enjoyed it. I actually watched it twice yesterday. I really enjoyed it. So I've done the Daleks to death this week, but in relation to actually purchasing the Blu-ray, I wouldn't buy it. And the main reason for that is I prefer the original. I mean, I'm sure I'll watch this again, but I prefer the original story because the original story is an adventure that you're part of, and I felt this was a little bit rushed, but this was more for the new generation, and that's what I like about RTD. He's keeping the legacy of Doctor Who alive, and the younger fans, because I remember when back in the 80s when the Five Faces of Doctor Who, things like that, when I got to watch the older Doctors, because this is I didn't get a video recorder until like 1986, and videos were so expensive in the early 80s. It wasn't until like I think 1986 is when I started buying Doctor Who VHS for $9.99 in WH Smiths and Woolworths. So yeah, I can see why they've done this. It's for the new generation. I enjoyed watching it. I'll watch it again, but the original will always be my preference. Now, if they release this, if they ever do, if they're ever able to release Doctor Who the Blu-ray collection, if they get the rights to Unearthly Child, I'm sure it'll be on there. So that's something for the future. I would buy this Blu-ray because the Blu-ray it comes with the colorized version, the 75-minute edited version that we watched yesterday, but it also comes with the original 6 episodes. So I would only buy it if the original 6 episodes were colorized as well. I think I'd enjoy watching all 6 episodes colorized, but I won't be buying this Blu-ray, but I know a lot of people will, and I definitely would recommend watching it. It was really, really good, and what I liked about it was something special for the 60th anniversary. And as I said, I looked forward to it all day. Honestly, I looked forward to it. I watched it at 7. Well, I went down too early, but I had BBC4 on from 7 o'clock with Mr. Portillo, and then I was flicking through my phone, and then the Dalek started. So I won't be buying the Blu-ray, but really enjoyed it. Highly recommended. Now there's talk that because I did like the clips at the end where they showed other William Hartnell episodes colorized as clips, and also Patrick Troughton right at the end. And there's talk that they're going to do, I believe, another 3 episodes colorized, and I'm all for that if it promotes the series. Also keeps the classic series alive with the younger generation. I'm all for that. Now I've heard rumours. I've heard from some of my subscribers and viewers that they're thinking of doing the War Games. Now I think that would be good to do, but I don't think I'd want to see the War Games cut to pieces. Really, I think it would be cut to pieces because it is quite a slow episode. But it'd be interesting to see the Time Lords and the regeneration in colour. But the episode that I'd love to see from a Troughton point of view would be one of my favourites, Seeds of Death. I'd love to see that colorised, and also Tomb of the Cybermen. I think that would be absolutely amazing. So highly recommended. I enjoyed it. I think it really did work, and I look forward to seeing 1 or 2 other black and white episodes recolorized, but also promoted in a similar way to the Daleks. But then after the Daleks, you had Adventures in Space and Time. Now I've seen this loads of times, but I suspected that the ending would be different, and I've got to say that even though it's just a documentary, it always gets me at the end. It's a brilliant written piece of television, and then at the end when you see the first Doctor, and then we see Ncuti GATWA for the first time. Now I sort of I understand why they had Ncuti, because he's the new Doctor. He's going to be the new Doctor. But thinking back to the 50th, you had Matt Smith in the TARDIS, which made sense because he was the current Doctor, even though Capaldi was taking over on Christmas Day. So I kind of think from a legacy point of view, it should have been David Tennant. I think that would have been a nice touch because David Tennant has never been shown with the first Doctor. I think that would have been a nice touch, but I understand why. Ncuti's taking over. He's the new Doctor. This will also work with Disney Plus. But it was beautifully done, and yeah, as I've mentioned in previous videos, I'd heard somewhere, I must have watched it on some kind of documentary or something, that when they filmed Adventures in Space and Time, that final scene with Matt Smith, who, if you watch it carefully, you can see he's actually inside the console. It wasn't done great. That they did it in a way that they could replace him with the new current Doctor. And they did it a lot better with Ncути. Ncути doesn't look like he's inside the TARDIS console, but it was done really, really well. And it got me. It got me right at the end. And I can't wait for the Star Beast tomorrow, and I can't wait for the new series. So yeah, really, really enjoyed Doctor Who Day, and I think they did really well. It was great to watch it on BBC4. But anyway, that's the end of the video. That's just my thoughts on Doctor Who and the Daleks in colour. Hope you enjoyed the video. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. It lets me know you care, and it also helps the channel. And I'll see you in the next one.